everybody. Thank you very much for attending the year we are also prayer and for the sermon afterwards. And my name is Todd Takahashi, and I will be presiding over today's ceremony. So please, I look forward to all of you joining us today. And let's begin with no further ado. Thank you. Chido Haire, 4 sincere claps. Amatsunori to Takama no hara ni kamuzumarimasu. Kamurogi kamuromi no mikoto mochite sumne miuya kamuizanagi no mikoto tsukushin no hyugan no tachiban no odo no wauwagi hara ni misogi harai tamau toki ni aremaseru harai dono kami tachi Moro no magago to tsumbi kegare o harai tamai kiyome tamai tomosu koto no yoshi o amatsu kami kunitsu kami ao yorozu no kami tachi tomo ni ame no fuchi koma no mimi furi tatete hikoshime se to kashikomi kashikomi momosu. Please open your prayer books to page 2 for the mediation prayer. Let us seek the sacred mediation of Ikigami Pongpo Daijin, sincerely and wholeheartedly, each and every day. May we receive the mediation anew, with all our hearts and souls, on this day, this very moment. Ikigami Pongpo Daijin Sama, Ikigami Pongpo Daijin Sama. Ikigami Pongpo Daijin Sama, Ikigami Pongpo Daijin Sama. Kami Prayer, page 3. Reverently we pray. The brilliance of heaven, the richness of earth. Time flows without cease. Years pass without end. In heaven and earth is a life that nurtures all. In heaven and earth is a truth that orders all. For this wondrous form, for these wondrous works, let us praise Tenchi Kane no Kami. Let us praise the divine parent of the universe. Kami loves and cares for all humanity, all those who live between heaven and earth. To revere Kami as divine parent, to live in Kami's infinite blessings. This is the way. Yet many, not knowing the way, are lost in greed and selfishness. They suffer the cycle of misfortunes. Great is Kami's sorrow. Our founding father, Konko Daijin, suffered many trials in this world, but held fast to faith and sincerity. He received Kami's great blessing and began the life of mutual fulfillment of Kami and humanity. Humbly we pray. The Divine Parent's great wish was thus fulfilled. Konko Daijin accepted the call to mediation that leads to the mutual benefit of Kami and humanity. By day, he taught the way of faith to all who sought him, expounding the blessings of heaven and earth. And he knew not the coming of night. By night he prayed for those who grieved, seeking salvation for all who suffered. And he knew not the dawning of day. Though years passed and the world changed, he did not waver from his task, the divine task of mediation. Thus was given the sacred Tenchi Kane, the guiding principle for our daily life. The divine favor was thus renewed and blessings flowed universally, establishing the way of eternal prosperity, the way of mediation of Ikigami Konko Daijin. By this wondrous revelation, we are given knowledge of the way, through all the hardships of this world, through pain of body and soul. The way of mediation teaches us to turn our hearts to Kami. Without regard for day or night, whether we are near or far, the way of mediation teaches us to pray with total trust. For living unaware of divine favor, we offer our sincere apologies and pledge to mend our ways. Let us live our faith every day, seeking and rejoicing in your divine favor. Let us care for those in pain and invite them to the way. Let us guide those who are lost and awaken them to a life of purpose. Kami is fulfilled in us. We are fulfilled in Kami. May this way of mutual fulfillment be manifested in this world. May Kami's wish for true peace and the well-being of all people be fulfilled. So we humbly pray. So we earnestly pray. Shido Keide, please bow your heads in prayer. Kaken makumo kashikoki, ikigami konko daijin, Tenchi Kane no kami no hiromae ni, konko kyo Whittier-Hill kyo kaicho, Igawa kyoshi sensei no kawarite, konko kyo kyoshi takase. かしこみかしこみもまおさくかしこかれど我が天地金の神橋神徳天地にあまねく道渡らせたまいこの皆を生かしローズのこと整えさせたまい聞いても天地の間に住む人間を神の氏ごといめでいつくしみたまいてあるはどうも賢きことの極みになん This afternoon, here at the Kongo Church of Whittier-Hill, on behalf of your beloved children, we've joined in one heart to share our love, sincerity, and appreciation to you for the blessings, favors, guidance, and interventions that we receive daily. We thank you very much for the favors you have showered upon each of the Ujiko of the Whittier-Hill Church and the New York, New Jersey gathering. We continue to receive your favor and interventions, especially in these recent times. We offer our hearts of appreciation for the daily goyo of the sixth spiritual patriarch, Choshu Kongosma, and his wife, Nobuko Sensei, and their ohana. We pray that you will keep them healthy in order for them to continue with their goyo, and for their children to grow up to be good, industrious, and resourceful individuals to Kongo Kyo and society. We thank you for our parent church, Kongo Church of Fukuzaki. We are very grateful for the endless prayers and support we received from the past head minister, Reverend Hironao Ushio. Next month will be Ushio Sensei's 1-year memorial, and we are truly grateful for the workings of his Mitama here at the Whittier-Hill Church. We pray his Mitama will continue to watch over and guide not just his family, but also the ministers and believers of the Fukuzaki Church, Whittier-Rose Hills Church, Lancaster Church, as well as the various children churches of the Fukuzaki Church. We offer prayers of appreciation to the Reverend Hironori Ushio, the present head minister. We pray that his mother, Tokuko Sensei, wife, the present assistant head minister, and his family will continue to guide the Fukuzaki Church, its members, and its children churches into the future. We ask that you keep him healthy so that he may perform the most sacred of goyo, Toritsugi. Thank you very much for Reverend Wakiko Igawa, who began sharing Hongo Daijin's teachings here in Whittier 28 years ago and founded the Whittier-Rose Hills Church, as well as Reverend Kyoshi Igawa, who is the present head minister of the Whittier-Rose Hill Church. Please watch over both of them. As you are well aware, they are with their daughter Kazuko Fong and her family in New Jersey. As an ohana, we pray for healing and protection for our New Jersey family. Help them through this difficult time and raise them up. Heal them physically, mentally, and spiritually. Help them to maintain a positive disposition. Help them to keep their hearts turned to you in order to take care of and love each other. Share Hongo Daijin's teachings and help the Ujiko on the East Coast through Toritsugi. Along with Kyoshi Sensei and Wakiko Sensei, we ask you please guide, nurture, and protect the Fong family, as well as to help all of them to maintain a positive disposition. Help them to keep their hearts turned to Kami-sama in order to take care and love each other. Share Hongo Daijin's teachings and help the Ujiko on the East Coast through Toritsugi. We also ask you please care for Kaz and her ohana. Favor them. Through Hongo Daijin, you taught us, Ten to chi no aida ni sumu ningen wa minna kami no Ujiko. Humans living between heaven and earth are all the beloved children of Kami. This teaching is truly important for all of us in light of what has been happening in the world. We ask that you help us to not only keep unconditional love and compassion for all of us in our hearts, but also to reflect it in our daily lives. Help us to be embracing and loving, kind and generous to all, regardless of race, sexual orientation, size, nationality, one's skin color, gender identity, age, occupation, social status, etc. I implore you to use each of us to make an impact, big or small, on our communities, cities, counties, and countries. Guide us in our hearts and our actions to be embracing, loving, kind, and generous. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. As you are well aware, there is a war going on in Europe between Russia and the Ukraine. Civilians and soldiers are being senselessly killed. As one ohana, it is our prayer that we pray for this fighting to end. We pray that both sides will respect each other's sovereignty. Where there is injury, let us offer forgiveness. Where there is discord, let us build peace. We pray for the victims of tragedies, natural and human-made disasters, to recuperate materially, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Please continue to watch over all who are suffering from illness and disease. We pray for those suffering from mental and physical illnesses and disorders such as dementia, cancer, COVID-19, heart diseases, etc. Through your divine intervention and favor, grant these individuals a renewed life and guide them to becoming useful individuals to society. We also pray for caretakers. We pray that you will allow them to get time off for themselves. Allow them a moment of sanity and serenity, and give them the additional strength to continue loving and caring for their loved ones. As we continue working to achieve our goals in our individual lives, whether it be for occupation, studies, relationships, and personal growth, help us to remember to enjoy the blessings we are receiving every day. And we ask for your protection and guidance with every step we take. Please give us the strength to move forward in all aspects of our lives. Help us to live a coming-centered life as we are all allowed to live in the universe through your grace. Help us in developing our relationship with you through Toritsugi and daily prayer. Help us to be the light that gives hope to those in despair. And may our prayers be heard and answered for every soul who needs hope, laughter, and your favor. In alignment with our parent church, we pray that our 30th anniversary in 2024, we are able to renew our faiths and our relationships with you. We pray that we will have a membership of 2,000 members and daily worship of 1,000 believers. We pray that for our 30th anniversary, 1,000 plus believers will be in attendance from just the Whittier-Hill Church alone. However, we know that all this begins with the individual faith of the believer to enrich themselves before they can reach out and help others. Higami Konko Daijin-sama, Tenchi Kane no Kami-sama. Kami-sama, at this time we offer prayers of appreciation for the Reverend Masako, Cesarina Hikekawa. As you are aware, she is still at Camellia Gardens Long-Term Care Center. However, for the past 2 weeks, she has been off the ventilator and breathing on her own. And although she does have a pipe to help supplement oxygen, we are grateful for your megumi blessings that she receives daily, especially the gift of life. We are grateful for the favor you are showering upon Masako-sensei. We continue to pray for her recovery. Through her faith and ours, we pray that all the megumi associated with her situation melt away. Let her faith be that of the Kikegawa family. Let her faith and that of the Kikegawa family rise like a phoenix. Let Masako-sensei be the light needed to save her family, the community at Camellia Gardens, and others. We sincerely pray that her recovery will be the impetus for many of us to revive our hearts, our faiths, and our relationships with you. As I bring this prayer to a close, it is our prayer, hope, that we can end this year, in this month, in safety, in peace and harmony, and in love and joy. We pray that the blessings and favor of today's service is granted and received by all here today and those who could not join us. Me ke aloha pume hana, mahalo anui, higami konko daiji, tenchi kane no kami. Now, please raise your heads. So, tomoni haire, 4 sincere claps along with the head officiant. Please open your prayer books to page 6 for recitation of the Kenchika. Higami Konko Daijin Tenchi Kane no Kami Isshin ni negae Kage wa waga kokoro ni ari Kongetsu konnichi de kanome Higami Konko Daijin 天地金の神一心に願えおかげは我が心にあり今月今日で頼め Pray sincerely with all your heart. Be one with Kami. Kami's blessings begin within, hearts grateful and caring, in harmony and joy. Look to Kami always, now and forever. On this very day, pray. Please open your prayer books to page 7 for the Adoration Prayer. We lift our eyes in awe toward heaven soaring above. We lift our eyes in awe toward heaven soaring above. We bow our heads in prayer toward earth rich and deep. Living amid such gifts of Kami's great giving, how happy and grateful we are. The mediation of Ikigami Ponko Daiji does not stop for a single day. The protection of the Divine Parent embraces all far and wide. The blessings of Kami flow without limit through all generations. The ways of Kami are mysterious and wondrous beyond our understanding. Day by day, every day, earnestly and reverently, we praise the virtues of Kami. We honor the power of Kami. Chido Haide, 4 sincere claps. Chido Haide, 4 sincere claps. Please open your prayer book to page 11 for prayer to the departed souls. Spirits of those who have gone before us, you were given the gift of life in this vast and endless universe. You discharge your duties faithfully, each according to your span of years. You will be remembered eternally, your lives retold from generation to generation, honored as the foundation of our society and the roots of our families. We revere you as the ancestral spirits of our homes, our own divine spirits. We beseech you, stand by us each and every one. Receive the favor of Kami and help us to fulfill our tasks as people without failing. Protect us, guide us, enrich us, that we may never lose the way of faith, that we hand it down to all generations, that we may live in peace and prosperity within our homes. Protect us, guide us, enrich us. Chido Keide, please bow your heads in prayer. ワンマクモカシコキこれのウィティアロヒル教会のご霊殿にいつき祭るご霊人様に Starting with the Kandori family, Konko family, Ushio family, and Nakabayashi family, including the late Reverend Akinobu Konko, I respectfully call upon the following families to join us today. Konko Daijin sama no go ryoshin, birth parents of Konko Daijin, Osonpu sama, father Juhei Kandori, Obodo sama, mother Shimo Kandori, adopted parents of Konko Daijin, Meiji o Kawate, Iwa Kawate, Kandori family, Kawate family, Nishimoto family, Kazawa family, Kawakami family, Hideshima family, Kitaka family, Otsubo family, Niyama family, Nishi family, Goto family, Takeda family, Tsuki family, Uzunoe family, Yukawa family, Igawa family, Kikawa family, Saiki family, Matsumoto family, Tanaka family, O'Farrell family, Ivy family, Sanchez family, Landeros family, Quayle family, Fong family, Ping family, Ota family, Lim family, Ayabe family, Brown family, Klaus family, Fujimoto family, Furuya family, Matsui family, Miyagawa family, Moriwaki family, Karakawa family, Nakayama family, Omura family, Tagami family, Taniguchi family, Tepnappa family, Umemoto family, Urata family, Yamamoto family, Yamauchi family, Yasutake family. Thank you all for watching, guiding, and protecting us in our daily lives. We also honor those who passed away in the month of April. The third Konko Sama Setsutane Konko, Reverend Shin Ichiro Shirami Sr., Reverend Akimichi Kondo, Reverend Tomie Takahashi, Reverend Shin Ichiro Shirakami II, Reverend Teru Sato, Reverend Yoshifusa Nishida, Reverend Mitsutoshi Sato, Mitsugi Ota, Takasuke Okamoto, Kakutaro Omura, Hikekawa Chinko, George Yoshio Yamamoto, Asao Kitani, William Kenjiro Yasuda, Jean Miyuki Waki, Linda Louise Thong, Kunimi Hironaka, Takeyama Yoriko. Please receive the offerings placed before you as simple tokens of our appreciation, as well as our hearts and prayers of love, appreciation, and sincerity. Please continue to watch over, guide, and protect all of us. 玉出すきかけて祈らなよよのや、親の御親の神の支配よ。玉出すきかけて祈らなよよのや、親の御親の神の支配よ。Now, please raise your heads. Shido tomoni haire, 4 sincere claps along with the head officiant. Please open your prayer books to page 14 for the Ancestral Prayer. Dear Mitama spirits, everlasting and integral part of the divine parent of the universe, we pray that the Mitama of our ancestors and family, as well as the Mitama of all people, are at eternal peace and happiness. To you who have gone before us, we give thanks wholeheartedly for paving the way through hardships and self-sacrifice in order that we who are here today can receive all the benefits of your endeavors. To you, our ancestral spirits, we gratefully acknowledge the protection and guidance which you have bestowed upon us. We pray that you continue to protect and guide us throughout our daily lives. We pray that we realize and develop your divine virtue this and every day. Chido haire, 4 sincere claps. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here at the Whittier-Hill Church's monthly ceremony. Today I wanted to share with you a teaching that I think is so. I wanted to. There's something that happened recently, and it happened after the Mitama Matsuri, so I really couldn't share it with people. But I want to share this story with all of you, and it happens to deal with virtue or toku. Let's begin with the teaching where it comes. One of the teachings where it comes from. So it's from the Voice of the Universe. Now, if you don't know, the Voice of the Universe really is. There's a Japanese version and the English version, and I had the honor of doing the first draft, I think, or second, I don't know what draft I did, but the main work necessary to create this. And what it was is the Voice of the Universe is by themes. But what happens is not all of the teachings are sort of like kind of cleared away of maybe extraneous things that headquarters thought, oh, we don't need this or anything. Not that it's not important. It's just that this is what they thought. Okay, this is what people probably want. But it's a very important book. It kind of helps in terms of guiding us. But it's just that not all you can't fit a whole. Sometimes the teachings are so long that you can't fit it into one passage. So. I'm going to read one of the passages, and then I'm going to read the main passage from where it's from. Where I'll put it. 130. Hold on. There it is. So from Gorikai 2, from Sato Mitsujiro. I inquired, Konko-sama, since there are many religions and different teachings, So will our souls go in various ways after death? Kung sa man parted, those things do not occur. The souls of those who die, having nowhere to go, hover and play like gnats between heaven and earth. They exist and play at the household altars and at graves where their bodies are buried. While people live in this world, if they do wrong or go against the heart of Kami, their spirits will be admonished by Kami after death. Now, a lot of people look at this teaching as a very hopeful teaching because it says that after death we're not going to heaven or hell, but they think that means they're in this world really. But this teaching, there's more to this teaching than meets the eye, and let me share this with you. So where this teaching stops, let me continue it for you. I think I'm lost. Wait, let me just double check. I prepared this. 28, 1, 2, 3. 28, 1, 2, 3. Here we go. While people live in this world, if they do wrong or others go against the heart of Tenchi Kane, their spirits will be admonished by Kami-sama after death. Those who worship Mitama spirits through Buddhism say that the spirits of such people have nowhere to go. And those who worship through Shinto say those spirits will become evil. Thus, we must not do wrong in this world. Tenchi Kane is watching through his eyes of heaven and earth. For as long as you live on earth, he will watch you from heaven. According to an old saying, heaven knows and earth knows and you know. Tenchi Kane no Kami knows all because heaven sees all. This is a really powerful teaching. The Reverend Masako Kawakami, the founding minister of the Kongo Church of Tsurugaoka, when he first looked at this teaching, now, when he was alive, this book was not made. There was only this. It's only this. He said that there's a very important interpretation of this. Those Mitama, as I'm going to read that passage again, the souls of those who die, having nowhere to go, hover and play like gnats between heaven and earth. He said that this teaching is so powerful because it means these gnats or these spirits who have nowhere to go means that they have no virtue. They have no toku. And this is why it is important as we read on into this teaching. Kami-sama sees all. Kami-sama knows all. Kami-sama then will decide whether shall I grant you virtue or will I not grant you virtue? Will you gain meguri or will you gain virtue? Meguri is what we call accumulated offenses. In Christianity, I cannot remember what the term is called, but the pastor Joel Osteen calls it, I can't remember what he calls it, but there's a specific name that he calls it. You want to call it sin, you can call it sin. However, it's so important because we don't want to hover. In Congo, we don't want to hover by our family altar. We want to hover by the family grave. We want to be a part of our family. We want to join them in their joys. We want to be them with their sorrow. We want to help them. We want to guide them. We want to watch over them. This is the responsibility of the Mitama spirits. And this Reverend Masaki Takahashi of the last head minister of the Futaiwa Church said, the responsibility, it is important for us as human beings to ask of our Mitama spirits for help. Ask them to guide us. Ask them to watch over us because this is their responsibility. Their responsibility is to assist, is to do Kami-sama's goyo by watching over us. But we have to ask. However, without virtue, we cannot do anything. Without toku, we cannot do anything. We become this and that. And I wanted to share this story with you during Mitama Matsuri, but I didn't know how it would end. And now that I know how it ends, I wanted to share with you just how powerful a Mitama can be. When they follow Kami-sama, when they live their life with the teachings of whatever faith they belong to. Not just Kongokyo, but Christianity or Buddhism or Tenrikyo or whatever faith someone may belong to. As when they follow that teaching, when they know they're helping society, when they know they're caring for others and doing something from their heart, not just out of obligation. No. That's not enough. It has to come from here. It has to come from love. We know that they continue to receive virtue. They receive virtue. The fifth Konko-sama shared with me that toku and virtue is something that can be taken with us even after death. That comes with us. At the same time that we take it with us after death, this same virtue is given to our descendants. So it multiplies, and it goes into two directions. One to our descendants and one with us as we go. And it is we as descendants. And Konko-sama, the fifth Konko-sama, Reverend Heiki Konko continued that it is we who have to make a decision to continue practicing our faith, living our lives properly. Just as in this teaching, we must not do wrong. Tenchi Kane is watching through his eyes of heaven and earth. For as long as you live on earth, he will watch you from heaven. As long as we're doing good by Kami-sama, as long as we continue to help and know that taking care of ourselves is helping ourselves and is helping Kami-sama. Taking care of family members is helping Kami-sama. Taking care of people in our community is helping Kami-sama. There are people in in this church who, and not only in this church, but who are doing amazing things. There might be nurses at a hospital. There's a believer from Portland Church who flies sick people. He flies medical crew to all over the place. I mean, these are jobs of service. There are teachers, there are bankers. When we're doing our job with sincerity, and we're doing it with love, and when we're giving that kind of service, we continue to receive toku. I bring this story up because 2 years ago in February of 2019, something pushed me, something moved me. And, I just arrived in San Diego. I arrived on December 28th, 29th, I can't remember, of 2018. And I'd only been in San Diego for about less than 2 months. And something pushed me. Something said, Todd, you have to research the Seattle church. I said, why? Something kept driving me and pushing me. I'm like, I don't want to do it, but something kept pushing me and guiding me and influencing me. So I started to do this research on the Seattle church. And then I started doing research on the late Reverend Nikimatsu Hideshima. Reverend Hideshima is the founding minister of the Seattle church. He is also the very first Kongokyo minister to arrive in the United States, including the territory of Hawaii at that time. Very first. He made it possible for other ministers to come here. He is the foundation of the North American diocese known as the Kongo Churches of North America. He established this. Just by his presence, by his merely coming here, he is the foundation of this diocese. However, at that time, I had a very strong disdain towards him. Let me share with you why. Now, Reverend, in 1956, Reverend Hideshima gave up the ministry. But not only that, but he also converted to Christianity. Now, if he had stopped at giving up his being part of his missionary assignment, I would have had no problems with that because it happens. Some ministers fall out of favor and maybe they just don't feel it, or they're just not, maybe they realize it's just not for them. Completely understandable. But the fact that he went over to Christianity at that time, when I first heard about that, I judged Hideshima Sensei. I immediately judged him. I said, no, that was wrong. And I refused to want it to have anything to do with him. But in 2019, I kept searching for information, and I would send it to Reverend Bobby Giviletti, I would send it to Reverend Kyoji Koko, and Kyoji Sensei was the most encouraging person. Nobody else had been as encouraging as he was, saying, Todd says that you have to continue this. You are finding things I have never seen before. You are finding things I have never touched before. You are finding these things. Please, please, please continue this research. And I said, okay. And he kept pushing me and pushing me. Not pushing me, but just encouraging me. I think push is the wrong word. Well, I know it's the wrong word. About a month and a half, less than 3 months into my research, I found an article about Reverend Hideshima's wife, Yasoji Hime, Mrs. Yasoji Hideshima. When Hideshima Sensei arrived, she arrived a couple of months after with their son Toru. She had only been in the country for just about 6 years, or less than 6 years, when she passed away. And when I saw the title of Hideshima Sensei's sermon, Love Never Ceases, Even in the Midst of Suffering. Love never ceases, even in the midst of suffering. I cannot imagine. At that moment, it touched me so much because I couldn't imagine the pain that he had felt, the anxiety he had gone through, knowing that he had to raise 3 beautiful children on his own while also raising and nurturing a growing congregation. I couldn't imagine the fear that was going on in his mind and in his heart. And at that moment, when I read that, my heart changed completely. And instead of hate and anger towards someone, I didn't know, it was compassion and love. And I kept searching and searching. Finally, I think it was that same year, or I can't remember if that same year or the following year, I found a lot of information. And I had also sent a letter to Hideshima Sensei's third son, his baby, his second son. And I received a response, and I wanted to he asked me for something, and I wanted to keep a promise. Anyway, long story short, I sent out an email to all these ministers, and with all the information I've learned about Hideshima Sensei, some of it brand new information. And it was Bobby Sensei who later, Reverend Bobby Duiletti, who sent an email to me saying, Todd Sensei, I had sent an email to Kyoji Sensei asking, did he know where Hideshima Sensei's grave was? Sensei said to speak to me, talk to you, meeting me. And he said, Todd Sensei, do you know where Hideshima Sensei's grave is? And at that time, I really thought everybody knew where he was. Like, it was common knowledge. But it came as a shock to learn that people did not know where Hideshima Sensei was buried. I told Bobby Sensei, I will continue looking. I will look for it. I mean, I was looking for different people's graves, but I just figured, I guess everyone knows where his grave is. So let's look for his children's grave. Last year in November, something told me I needed to look up at this particular website. And I did. And there was a piece of information that popped up. And this piece of information that popped up was the key. It opened things up for me. And after about 2 years of trying to figure out where Sensei's grave was and everything, here was the opportunity. And during Thanksgiving of last year, I scheduled myself to go to Seattle to visit my nieces, but also to look for Hideshima Sensei's grave and then fly home to Hawaii. And during that time, I also wanted to visit Toru Hideshima, which is Hideshima Sensei's eldest son. I wanted to go to his grave. And so I was able to do all that. But after visiting Toru's grave, I said, well, I have to figure out where Hideshima Sensei's grave was. So I followed up on the hint. And the hint was the crematory that Hideshima Sensei was at. And so I went to the crematory, which had a columbarium next to it. I walked through the columbarium, hoping, you've got to be here. You've got to be here. And I had to spend at least 45 good minutes there, looking and searching up and down, looking like a crazy man. to find nothing. I remember being almost in tears, disappointed, thinking, gosh, I'm never going to find this man. I remember walking out of the crematory, walking up this slight hill into the graveyard, which is attached, not attached, but it's a separate graveyard. And then I was looking at the most beautiful, gorgeous sunset overlooking Seattle. And something filled me. Something filled me saying, no, Sensei has led me this far. I'm going to find it. The next time I come back to Seattle, I will be standing. I will be kneeling. I will be praying before Hideshima Sensei. Something just came over me and these thoughts came in. Like I knew this was going to happen. It was interesting because I shared with Kyoji Sensei some things, and Kyoji Sensei told me, Todd, I really believe Hideshima Sensei has chosen you, has picked you. Hideshima Sensei is driving you, is moving you, and is influencing you. Todd Sensei, you have to give in. Please, Todd Sensei, let Hideshima Sensei help you. You know, when he told me that, I kept asking myself, why? Why would Hideshima Sensei want someone like me? I'm a nobody. I really am I'm not anybody special, really. I'm a normal human being. I screw up all the time. I'm nobody special. There are more virtuous ministers in Japan and Hawaii and here in North American diocese. There are more deserving ministers of such an honor than I am. I am a nobody. Kyoji Sensei said, no, I strongly believe he is working with you. He is talking to you. He is influencing you. And all this time I'm sorry, I'm just over-exaggerating on that one. But for this time, I kept asking myself, why? Why? Anyway, in March, this past March, I was in my classroom. School had just finished. I was just chilling. And I heard someone say, call now. Call now. I'm like, ooh, okay. I know what you're talking about. I'm going to call right now. And I called this number. I called the crematory. And the woman who responded was so kind. And we talked, and she said to give her an hour, she would look things up. It gave me enough time to go back home. And I was back home. And she called and she said, oh, Todd, I'm very sorry, but Hideshima Sensei is not in our columbarium. And I was so, I don't know whether to cry, but I know I was disappointed and sad. Then she said, but we have his funeral records. And when I looked up, it said that his urns were taken elsewhere. Call this number, talk to this person, and I promise you, I have a strong feeling he will be there. I have to tell you, I had great trepidations about all of this, great trepidations about calling the next number. I was scared because what if this was a dead end? But in November, something told me that I would be standing before, kneeling before, and praying before Hideshima Sensei. And so I called the number. I spoke with the woman, and she found him. I was so thrilled. And then she said, oh, but Todd, he's with his wife, Yasoji. And when she said Yasoji, I broke down. This is a woman I have been searching 3 years for with every single resource at my tip. I could not find her. And finally, to know that in 1976, she was placed right beside her husband in a separate grave next to her husband's grave. I just couldn't stop crying. And then that March, I had gone to Seattle again to see my my nieces, and I wanted to visit. Look for, that was a quote, it was supposed to be look for. This time, it was to make sure that the information I had received was correct and accurate. And I remember landing in Seattle, getting my car, like I could not get to the rental car agency any quicker. I went there right immediately to the cemetery, and I remember standing before his grave, kneeling before his grave, praying before his grave. And I felt as if I was enveloped in such warmth, like a parent had come to hug me and say, "You found me." The reason why I bring this story up, along with the teaching for today, even though Hideshima Sensei had taken a different path, we all take different paths from time to time. He must have lived his faith. He must have been an embodiment of his faith. His son, Akira, shared with me that his favorite passage from the Bible was Psalm 139. In it, there is a passage that says, "Where can I go from your spirit? And where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. And if I make my bed in the depths, you are there. And if I rise on the wings of the dawn, and if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you." I believe Sensei had such a love towards God, a love towards Tenchi Kane. And this particular passage is exactly how he felt when he was 16 years old. This is what he felt about our Tenchi Kane. And I completely relate to this. I completely relate to Psalm 139. Hideshima Sensei must have practiced his faith, and his son is a devout Baptist, along with his wife. They're devout Baptists, and they live their faiths. And when we live our faith, remember what Kongo-sama said, the fifth Kongo-sama said, when we live our faith, we are allowed, not just we are allowed to receive toku, but so our ancestors. And Hideshima Sensei must have had toku because he was not hovering around a grave. Kyoji Sensei said it. He came to me all the way from Seattle to San Diego to influence me, to guide me, to push me and push me. When I wanted to give up, it was Hideshima Sensei who kept pushing and pushing and saying, "No, you cannot give up. It is not time for you to give up. You are not to give up." Hideshima Sensei kept pushing and pushing and pushing, influencing, guiding, and praying until that day last month. Next month is the Whittier-Rose Hills Churches. May 1st is Whittier-Rose Hills Churches Kenchi Kane Grand Ceremony. We are allowed to live in the midst of this universe through the Kami-sama's grace, through Kami-sama's virtue. We are allowed to receive this virtue while we are alive. Hideshima Sensei lived his faith to the fullest. And so he was a spirit full of virtue. So much so that he could persuade a stubborn, judgmental person like myself to find him. He used his virtue, his spiritual strength as a Mitama spirit to guide me, change my heart and my complete perspective. He allowed me to find one thing after another thing after another thing. That is the power that the Mitama can have. We can all have that too, but it begins with us. It begins with realizing the blessings that we have. It begins with realizing the favor that is given to us. It begins with honoring the foundation that we walk on, the foundation of our happiness, the foundation of our lives, which is Kenchika. I know after this experience with Reverend Hideshima, I know and humbled, incredibly humbled by what I've been through. I'm incredibly humbled, and I want to honor the foundation. It makes sense why Reverend Wakiko Igawa told me before leaving for San Diego, you must recognize and honor and take care of your foundation. For if not, you will not receive. You cannot receive Okage or Kami's favor. Let us not forget the foundation of our lives today. Let us not just forget our ancestors. Let us not forget Kami-sama. So on May 1st, I hope you will join us here at the Whittier-Rose Hills Church online as we honor, recognize, and appreciate Kenchika no Kami-sama for everything that we have received. Let us not forget. Let us not forget the favors, the blessings, the protections, and the interventions we receive. With that, I'd like to thank you for attending today's service. I ask that you all please take care, and I will definitely see you. I can't believe it's going to be 2 weeks, but I will definitely see you in 2 weeks on May 1st. Ahuiho malamapono. Take care. Ooh, I can stand. Oh, and please make sure you share with us who you are. Either put in the chat box or please share it to kcwrh8@gmail.com so that we can add you to our prayer notebook. Thank you very much.